I'm joined right now by the ranking member from the Budget Committee, Pennsylvania Democrat Brendan Boyle. Congressman, thank you for joining us. I was privy to hearing you vote no, not unexpectedly, on this bill. But does this vote give Democrats any more leverage and any more influence over the legislation going forward?
Well, good to be with you on, I think, a pretty dramatic day. We started at 9 a.m., and from the very outset of the hearing, Budget Committee Democrats made it quite clear that we were in total unified opposition to this monstrosity, the big, beautiful bill for billionaires. The reality is that our united opposition today meant that Republicans had to get almost 100% of their members to vote yes in order for this to advance. So I'm proud of our performance and what we've been able to do so far in blocking this. The next step, though, I think that we have to be on guard, and here's why. It was hardliners on the Budget Committee, really extreme conservatives who are holding out. They're not satisfied that only, from their perspective, 13.5 million Americans will lose their health coverage. They actually want deeper cuts to Medicaid and deeper cuts to the Affordable Care Act. So I fear that this bill, which is already right now very bad, could actually get worse in order to win over the support from these very hardline conservative Republicans.
And we heard my colleague Ryan talking to Steve Scalise earlier. At least before the vote, he thought they were making progress. Would it take just a few tweaks to get it passed? I mean, what do you think the road looks like ahead? How rocky is it?
So Republicans really, and frankly, this will come down to President Trump and House and Senate Republican leadership, they really have two choices, right? They can either, A, pacify their hardline conservatives and make what is already projected by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the accepted referees and scorekeepers when it comes to all of this, established in law by Congress. They're the ones, as written, will cause 13.7 million Americans to lose their health care. Republican leadership can either, A, actually drive that number up and make it even worse through deeper Medicaid cuts and deeper cuts to the Affordable Care Act, or B, they can finally say, you know what, enough with attempting to pander to the most extreme conservative Republicans. Let's actually try bipartisanship for once. Let's actually work with Democrats. Let's figure out a way to extend the tax cuts for most working class and middle class Americans. Let's actually look at finally bringing in more revenue and allowing the tax cuts to expire on the billionaire class, which would bring in a lot of revenue. And let's reject this extreme path and work with Democrats to achieve bipartisanship. If they're willing to do that, we on the Democratic side are willing to work with them to extend the tax cuts for most working Americans. But at the same time, we have no interest whatsoever in working with Republicans who want to devastate health care for so many Americans.
Ryan Nobles had said it would take just 4 no votes to tank this bill in the Budget Committee. I believe it lost by 5. Are you surprised with the increasing opposition, it would seem, to the bill?
Well, it would have taken 3 Republicans in the Budget Committee voting no, would have only taken 2 voting no in order to cause a tie vote, and then 3 gave the no side, our side, in this, the majority. So the fact that it ended up being 4, well, technically it ended up being 5, but that's actually a parliamentary procedure. One of the members who was voting yes switched his vote at the last second, so that way, come Monday, they could use something called a motion to reconsider and attempt to revote it. So often you will see on the House floor in committee, on the rare occasions, the very rare occasions, when a majority is not able to win the vote, they'll typically have one of their members switch so they can file what is, typically called an MTR. So a little bit of, in the weeds parliamentary stuff there, but that's the reason why they did that. I would say really there were 4 Republican no votes, which was, far more than was actually needed to sink the bill.
Okay, well, I'm glad you described it as being in the weeds, because let me tell you something, otherwise it would be very clear I was not a math major. Thank you, Brendan Boyle. It's very good to talk with you, especially on this really, really important day. Appreciate that.